right, that's what you want to do.
Hey guys, Mr. Sewell here, and this is going to be our first flip video of the year. So, hopefully, you guys came in this morning for the sub and you were on your best behavior, as I know you probably were, and you're ready to, get started with these videos after you did your best with Reading Plus for a while. So, let's get started. I'll show you a little bit about how these videos are going to work. Okay, you can see me. I'll have my head will be floating around the screen somewhere throughout the video, so I'm keeping my eye on you. You can see we're going to be using a Prezi, and at times we will switch back and forth between this Prezi and we'll be taking notes. As you can see, it says America, the beginning through the first Thanksgiving. So we're going to be talking about the early Americans, or early civilizations in America, from the very first people that arrived here through the first Thanksgiving, since this week is Thanksgiving week and all. So you can start out by writing this down if you haven't already. Feel free, as we are going through this video, this lesson, to pause it as much as you need so you can write these notes down so that you won't miss anything. And at the end, there'll be a couple of questions for you guys to answer together in your groups. So, let's get started. We'll go back to our Prezi. And as you can see, the essential question here is, who were the first Americans? Okay, we'll excuse me. We'll start out by looking at some vocabulary, some key terms that you're going to need to know to be able to understand some things. The first word here, if you can see where my pointer is at, is indigenous. And this means native or original inhabitant. That's someone who was native to the area. We talked about langosta lobsters earlier when we read the K and how they're native. So that's where they're originally from, indigenous. We'll also use BC and AD on the end of dates as we talk. BC meaning before Christ, or a lot of times you'll see BCE, which is before the Common Era. AD, Anno Domini, or CE, sometimes you'll see for the Common Era. Okay? Take a moment to write those down. Indigenous. Okay. Okay, original inhabitants. Okay, now I'm going to go kind of fast, which is why you guys have a pause button. So feel free to use that. Okay, the first people to the Americas. It is believed that the first Americans crossed a land bridge connecting Asia and Alaska, known as Beringia, as many as 30,000 years ago. Now, if we zoom out, you can see this is Alaska here, obviously. But we'll pull up a little picture for you guys to see, so we can actually see where Alaska is in relation to Asia. There's man. Okay. Sorry about that. Now you'll see that the it doesn't look like it's too far from Asia actually, and before the Earth shifted, tens of thousands of years ago, it's believed that they were actually connected. And what we now see is that Bering Strait is known as Beringia. So it's believed that they walked across. Now they were the first peoples to come to America were hunter-gatherers. Okay, so let's write that term down. Sorry, guys. Okay, so it sounds just like it says, hunter-gatherers. So they hunted and they gathered. So they followed the food. So it's believed that they just walked, that they ended up in the Americas because they were following the food that they were hunting, whether it be caribou, deer, moose, whatever. Okay. keeping with that, with the hunter and gathering, it's believed that they continued to follow the food until they came down and spread through the Americas, even into Latin and South America. Okay, we'll take a look closer into that in just a few minutes. Okay, early civilizations. With time, people learned to plant and raise crops, and they were no longer hunter-gatherers where they had to constantly follow the food. They could grow crops and have a constant supply of food coming in that they could store and save. So that led to first permanent civilizations, because they didn't have to move with the food. They could settle down and make permanent homes. The first permanent civilization, the Olmec, emerged or was created or came about around 1500 BC in southern Mexico, which is, you can see in the background, this southern Mexico. Maya and the Aztec later developed in Mexico and Central America. So we have these first permanent settlements thanks to crops. The Aztec people, okay, the capital was Tenochtitlan, established in 1325 AD. Built floating islands for their crops called chinampas. Now that would give you a really good ready source of water to keep your crops well watered and well irrigated. Okay, so they were very successful, very wealthy people. Okay, the next group we'll discuss is the Incan Empire. Okay, they dominated South America during the 15th and 16th centuries. Machu Picchu was possibly built as a royal retreat. The ruins of Machu Picchu can still be seen today, which is pretty cool. Okay, and in a later video, we'll actually look at the European explorers that discovered these places, and the Aztecs and the Incans, and how the Spanish conquistadors came in and conquered these people and kind of destroyed them, which is sad. Okay, Southwest. In the Southwest United States, the Anasazi and Hohokam were established in that area. About in 300 AD, the Hohokam and Anasazi began farming in what is today Arizona. They developed a complex system of dams, irrigation canals, and reservoirs. Was important for storing water in the desert. So obviously, if you're in the desert, a way to store water and keep it would be vital to your survival. And you can see how the homes were. It's interesting because all the homes are made out of the resources they had available. So we have Pueblo houses that were made out of mud because they had plenty of dirt. Okay, so that was something you'll see in that area. This is the Mesa Verde in Colorado. You can see again how the homes are built into the side of the cliffs. It's pretty cool. Would love to go visit one day. Okay, here's just a more close-up view of an example. Okay, the Cahokia was one of the largest Native American cities from 600 to 1400 AD, located along the Mississippi River, near what is today St. Louis. Larger than any other European city of the 1200s and any city in the U.S. until 1800s. So this is a pretty big deal. And it contains 120 earthen mounds on the site. So if you guys have been to Town Creek, you know what we're talking about with mounds. Okay. A Serpent's Mound in Ohio, built in approximately 1070. So you can see the mounds here. That's actually pretty cool. The Iroquois, they lived in what is today northeastern U.S. Iroquois League formed maybe as early as 1100s between Mohawk, Oneida, Onondaga, Cayuga, and Seneca nations. Alright, so that was a league of Iroquois. And you can see here they started building the longhouses to house more people. So our homes and everything as time goes are becoming more and more sophisticated. Here's a map of the first Americans, the location of the major Indian groups and culture areas in the 1600s. Okay, so this over here would be around North Carolina. You see, obviously, the Cherokee, which, you know, we're in the North Carolina mountains, and we still have the Cherokee Reservation today. Okay, West African Society around 1492, and you'll probably recognize that date also as around the time that Christopher Columbus sailed to the Caribbean. One of the first universities in the world was founded in Timbuktu, which enabled all citizens to have free health care and education. That's pretty cool. Long-established trade routes brought both goods and Islam into areas of West Africa. Okay, here's a map of what Africa would have looked like, and you can see the major trade routes. European exploration. So after Columbus in 1492, like I said, we're not going in depth into European exploration. We'll do that in another video. But many Spanish conquistadors followed. We have Cortez, who defeated the Aztecs in 1521. We have Francisco Pizarro, who conquered the Incans 11 years later. The Spanish also settled to farm, mine, ranch, and spread Catholicism, or the Catholic faith, in North America. Now, the first ones that went were more in search of gold and glory, and we'll talk about the 3 G's of exploration later as well. The English began exploration soon after, but didn't establish a permanent colony until Jamestown in 1607, which many of you will recognize as from Pocahontas, the movie. So here we have the routes that the English and Spanish took in their exploration. Just want you to be aware of this. We're going, like I said, we'll go into greater detail later. Okay, Jamestown, Virginia was England's first successful colony in North America in 1607. The goal was to find gold, of course, to make money. The problem was there was such a strong strong focus on money that they did not know how to prepare for their own survival. And we're not going to watch the excerpt there. If you'll watch the video and as we study Jamestown, you'll see a huge difference between the movie and what actually happened. Okay. Plymouth Colony. Here we are to the first Thanksgiving. Plymouth Colony was founded by the Puritans, a religious group who felt the Church of England retained too many Catholic traditions and needed to be purified. They sailed across in the Mayflower in 1620, came to the colonies looking for freedom to practice the religion they wanted to practice. So the Church of England told them, the Puritans, that they couldn't worship the way they wanted to, so they said, fine. They first went to the Netherlands, and then they ended up finding the same problem, and then were able to charter the Mayflower to sail to the New World, to America. Okay, and of course the first winter there was brutal. Lost a lot of lives, and then they were able to survive with the help of the Native Americans there, who helped them learn to farm, which was essential to their survival. Which is why when they celebrated the first Thanksgiving, they did truly have something to be thankful for, which most of you probably know, but if not, I do want you to know that there was probably no turkey at the first Thanksgiving. Sorry to break your heart. Puritan life centered around work and prayer, and the church was at the center of community and political life. A lot different than society today. Okay, we won't watch that either. But now, you should be able to answer who were the first Americans there, right? So let's go back here. We didn't take a lot of notes, but I do want you to go back through the video, and I want you to write down the names, the different names of the Native American groups. Names of groups. I also want you to write down the year, or the years, rather, that they were discussed, and why they were significant, because each one had a reason that we talked about them, so why they were significant. Okay, and also I'll pop a couple of questions up here as we're fading out for you guys to answer. So hopefully you guys did okay with this first video. You'll have one again for science, but hope you guys all have a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday, and I hope to see you soon when you get back. So, take care, guys.
Like I don't care, baby, by the way.